Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I make my homemade laundry detergent. It's important to know that this is a laundry concentrate, so you don't need much of it and it is going to last forever. So typically whenever you see people making this version, they usually water it down with about 4 gallons of water and store it in 5-gallon buckets. But I don't have the space to be storing 5-gallon buckets of laundry detergent, so I mix it up in this 2-gallon container and I make a double batch whenever I do make it. So what you're going to need is a measuring cup, you're going to need a bowl, a stainless steel spoon, a cheese grater. You're going to need a 2-gallon container, and I prefer this one just because I can mix it directly in here and I don't have to transfer it to whatever I'm going to store it in. And this is going to turn out really thick, so it can't be something that you plan on pouring out of. I don't really think that would work the best. You need to be able to scoop out of it. So that's why I like this, because you can easily scoop all the way down to the bottom and there's no issues. And I do have this lid also, but using this just makes it a lot easier because you're not transferring containers or anything. I'll have this exact container linked down below. You're going to need a Zote bar, or you can use Castile soap or the Felsnap, whatever works best for you. And then essential oil, which this is completely optional. You do not have to use essential oil. I prefer it honestly just because if you're going straight from store-bought laundry detergent to this version, then you're probably not going to like the way it smells because it does not have a perfumey smell. But it's not this kind of smell that you would get from typical laundry soap that you get from the store. So that's why I use this Fresh Cotton essential oil, and I just bought this bottle off of Amazon. It's cheaper to buy the premixed bottle of this than it is to buy each individual essential oil and try and mix it your own to get this scent. So I just bought this. And then you're going to need borax and superwashing soda. And this is different than the baking soda, so make sure you get the superwashing soda. So what you're going to do first is just grate down this entire Zote bar. So we're making 2 gallons, like I said, and you can make a smaller batch if you want. You can make a gallon, so just cut this recipe in half. And if you don't want to shred your Zote bar, they do sell this pre-shredded at the store. I think it is a little bit more expensive. So while we're grating this, we'll go ahead and talk about how this is a concentrate and not a watered down version. Like I was saying, most people water this down with this is a double batch, so they would water it down with 8 gallons of water, which I do not do that. I do not have room to store it, so I prefer this method, and this will last us forever. Honestly, it may last us the rest of the year. And if you're unsure about the consistency, because this does turn to a really thick gel, then go ahead and skip to the end of this video and I'll show a close-up of how this turns out so you can see if you want to make this or if you don't, if it's something you're interested in, because a lot of people don't like the texture. Before we used this, we used to use the powder version of this. So instead of turning it into a liquid and adding water, we would just use it straight as powder. Whenever we moved to this house, we got a new washer, and I don't know why, but it does not do well with powder. So it doesn't dissolve the powder at all. It just clumps up on the inside of the washer drum. But previously I used these same exact ingredients and just used the powder version, and I liked it a lot. But I think what I like most about this recipe is that you can make it totally customizable to you. So if you're just trying to cut some cost, then this is a great option. Or if you're just trying to cut out some toxins, then this can be a great option also. So if you don't like one of these ingredients, you can always just substitute it for whatever you do use and what you do like. So now that we have all of that grated, we're going to take our 2-gallon container and we're going to fill it about 3/4 of the way full with hot water, probably just a little bit more than 3/4 of the way. So whatever container you're using, you're going to want to leave about 1 inch of empty space at the top. So 1 inch headspace from the shoulder. So you do not want this to be overflowing because you do have to mix in here. So now that I have my hot water, I'm going to go ahead and dump all of the Zote bar in there. And you're going to go ahead and just mix it up. You don't have to constantly mix it. I'm going to go ahead and get my borax and the super washing soda ready. But this does take a few minutes to dissolve, so Just stir occasionally while you get the rest of your ingredients ready. Next, you're going to need 2 cups of borax and 2 cups of super washing soda. And if you have any clumps, you're going to want to get those out. As you measure out your cups, you're going to want to put them back in that same bowl that you just used for your Zote soap. And that's just because you're going to have to pour the super washing soda and the borax in the mixture at the same exact time, and you're going to have to do it pretty quick. Once you have your borax and your washing soda measured out and in your bowl, go ahead and add in the essential oil to your mixture. So you're going to add 50 to 60 drops of this, and I don't really count, I just kind of guesstimate. And just mix that up really well. But you just want to continue mixing until you're not seeing any of the pink clumps anymore. For this next part, I'm going to bring you guys up close so that you can see and watch what happens, because whenever you do it for the first time, you may think it's like abnormal or not supposed to do that, but it is. So I'll bring you guys up close so that you can watch as I do mine. So as you can see, the majority of all of it is mixed up. Like, I don't really see any more clumps. That's what you're looking for. It should be a pink milky color, and you should not see any more. But if you are using Castile soap or the Felsnap, then your coloring will look a little bit different. This is only if you're using the pink Zote bar. So in this bowl, I have all of my super washing soda and borax in there. Altogether, it is 4 cups. It's 2 cups of each. And you're going to want to dump this in pretty quickly. Depending on how hot your water is, this is either going to gel really quickly or it may take some time. It all just depends on how hot this water is. Now that all that is in, you're going to want to mix and get all the way to the bottom and just kind of stir upwards, because it did go to the bottom. So what you're trying to do is just incorporate it, but it does start to set pretty quickly, and right now mine is starting to get thicker. I can feel it, and you'll notice it in yours also. Just continue mixing. It's going to start gelling at this point, and that is what you want. And like I said, if your water is a little bit cooler, this may have already like gelled and set as soon as you poured it in. Just continue mixing, because sometimes I've had mine thicken quite a bit faster than this. And it's perfectly fine. Just make sure you continue mixing. And it's fine if you do see some clumps or some of the soap or something isn't dissolved. Like, you'll have that. But as it sits, it will dissolve. So in the next day or two, whenever you go to use this, you probably won't see those clumps. They will have dissolved. So I think mine is pretty well stirred up. And you can see it's a pretty thick consistency, but it's not going to stay this. As it cools, it is going to continue to thicken even more. So while this rests, I thought I would go over how we use it and the approximate costs and everything like that. So this batch right here is less than $5 to make. The most expensive thing is the essential oil, which is totally optional. You do not have to use any essential oil. If you just don't even want your laundry to smell like anything, then don't use any essential oil. It's completely fine. That's just for fragrance, and that's all that does. I just kind of prefer the fresh cotton scent on my laundry. And like I said, if you have essential oil but you don't want to use the fresh cotton, use whatever essential oil you have on hand. Some people use peppermint or lemon or orange. Just use whatever you want. The borax, I believe, is like $6 a box, and then the super washing soda is $5. These have lasted me so long. So far, I've made 4 batches of this exact soap out of these same boxes, and I still have like probably a quarter of a box left of both. And then the Zote bar, it's like $1.25. I think it may have went up in price recently, but the last time I bought them, they were like $1.25, I believe. And how we use ours is we wash all of our laundry in warm water. Otherwise, I don't know, I just feel like the cold water does not get the clothes clean enough. And Ben's work clothes, we do wash those in hot water just because usually they are so greasy from the meal. I'll kind of explain ingredients and I'll kind of explain how much we use in a minute, but his clothes are covered in just sawdust and grease from the meal. He works at a sawmill, so his clothes are usually extremely dirty, and they are so hard to keep clean. But for just a regular load of laundry, so like our towels or my clothes, those get washed in 1 tablespoon of this, and they do get washed in warm water. But Ben's work clothes, they get washed in 2 tablespoons of this, sometimes 3, depending on how bad they are. And what I'll do sometimes with Ben's clothes, if they are just like extremely soiled, I'll run the hot water in the washer and put some soap in there and add the clothes in and just kind of let them soak for a little bit before they wash, and that seems to help a lot. This has probably had enough time to set now, so let me bring you guys back up so you can see what it looks like. This is what it looks like. So you can see it is like super thick and jelly, and it may even get a little bit thicker than this the longer it sits and cools. So this would be for a normal, like regular size load laundry. And then 2 scoops of this for Ben's laundry. So how I use this is I start running the water in the washer and then just dump however much I want in and let it start to dissolve, and then put my clothes in the washer. But that is going to be it for this video, so I hope you guys found this video helpful.